So much of the storytelling process in modern media comes from photography. Fortunately, the Virginian-Pilot has some of the industry's best behind the camera. As we reflect on the year that was, the pilot's photography staff selected some of their favorite images from 2014. Enjoy the memories.
In 1944, DDay Veteran Norwood Thomas was dropped from a plane and into a field lit only by moonlight. In the distance, he could hear gunfire. Thomas was a young man of the 101st Airborne, and he lay still in the dark, alone with his thoughts. 70 years later, in the autumn of his life, this 91-year-old Thomas returned to Utah Beach in France. Here he would collect sand from the shoreline. It was a surreal moment. I assumed it was a sense of closure for the boy who became a man under the illumination of a French moon. This is Rich Joseph Facoon with the Virginian-Pilot.
Early Saturday morning in mid-May, a 40-foot-high floating duck began to rise from the Hague Inlet. So began a 10-day exhibit. I made the photo of the rubber duck in early morning light with the statue of the torchbearers silhouetted in the foreground. I was hooked early on this bizarre scene of a large duck floating in the water, and I found myself going back often to make photographs of the duck and the people who came to see it. And at the end of 10 days, workers began to deflate the duck, and it slowly crumpled into the water. I miss it. Bill Tiernan, photographer with the Virginian-Pilot.
This photo was shot last summer during the homecoming of the Navy frigate USS Elrod, and it shows the face of the sailor, Michael Williams, in what I think is an expression of pure, unrestrained joy when he greets his friends and family on the pier for the first time after being at sea for many months. And to me, this photo is successful in the way that it conveys on an emotional level to anybody the real meaning of homecoming, what it really means to come home. My name is Martin Smith-Rodden, and I'm a staff photographer for the Virginian-Pilot.
I wasn't expecting this close of an encounter when I climbed up the ladder of an Elizabeth River channel marker to reach an osprey net. The young female spread her wings out, charged toward me. With my left hand holding on to the rail, I leaned back to avoid the bird's attack and fire a couple frames. By then, this osprey, which is also known as fishhawk, has already pecked on my camera more than once. Hey Farm, and I am the photographer for the Virginian-Pilot.
It was before dawn on a spring morning in a farm field just south of the North Carolina line. People were gathering for a field trial, a charity fundraiser where hunting dogs would chase deer through the thick woods nearby. Soon the dogs would be in a frantic hunt, barking and crashing through the undergrowth. The quiet, peaceful morning was my favorite part of the day. My name is Steve Early. I'm a staff photographer at the Virginian-Pilot.
Salsa, spicy, sensual. A fleeting moment painted passionately with a minimal light of two unguarded people lost to penetrating drum beats infused with rhythmic Afro-Caribbean flair. Shot in early April of 2014, Victoria Owen and John Garcia are regulars at the Mambo Room's Latin Fridays dance parties. I'm Stephen Katz, staff photographer at the Virginian-Pilot.
The premise of my column was to photograph places where I've always wanted to have a peek inside. There's just something about an old barbershop. It was just an ordinary Saturday. To my surprise, the place was filled with kids. When I walked in, everybody went quiet, and they all listened to my photographer spiel. Who am I? Why am I here? Does anybody not want to be photographed? Please pretend like I'm not here. After a short while, normal activity resumed. The line of children 8 deep played games on cell phones, swung their legs, or snuggled with mom to pass the time while waiting for their haircut. To me, it was simple but beautiful. I sat on the floor next to the barber's chair and made this picture. Vicky Cronus-Noe.
Every year, the East Coast Surfing Championship comes around like an old friend. What will the contest bring? Blistering hot temperatures, hurricane off the coast, and always will there be waves. I've covered the ECSC since 1994. It's always in the same place, but the ocean and scenery are constantly changing. Every year I search for the image that tells the story of that year's contest. One image stood out this year, the celebration of a new champion. Michael Dunphy won the event, the first for a local surfer since Wes Lane's back-to-back wins in 1980 and 81. My name is L. Todd Spencer. I'm a staff photographer at the Virginia-Pilot.
The cobbler Jeff Evans was one of 6 people I documented for a Labor Day project.
He started his job in 1978 and still takes great joy and pride from his job at his store in Norfolk.
No matter what you do in life, I don't care if you sweep a floor or if you are a brain surgeon, you have to do the best of your ability. And if you don't take pride in what you do, you're not going to turn out the best product.
That's what Jeff said, and his words are a reminder of my own profession. A sacred task to tell the story of everyday heroes who dwell among us. My name is Hyunsu Leo Kim, a staff photographer, multimedia lead for the Virginian-Pilot.